I thought, I'll give that a red hot go. $5, sure, I'll boost this post. And I had the pictures of the venue, which was stunning in Byron. And from that $5 spend, I got a direct return of about $550.
Wow.
I know. I
Those
had
were the
people
days.
calling, like those were the days. Like somebody actually called on my telephone, the way they used to be used. It was radical stuff.
Stop and don't spend another single cent on advertising until you listen to this. I'm Marianne Amies. This is Ready, Set, Paid Ads, digital marketing for paid ad success. Let's go. On today's episode of Ready, Set, Paid Ads, I'm talking to Brook McCarthy, a veteran business coach and marketing mentor. She'll be sharing her experiences with using ads to grow her business when I ask her how to use ads. In this episode, we'll talk about the importance of consistent advertising, the role of planning and testing, and how ads can help build relationships with your customers. Brooke will share details of her biggest ads wins, her biggest ads fails, and how she's learned to integrate ads over the years to be a key driver in her business success. I hope you'll enjoy this conversation with Brooke. Hi, Brooke. I'm really excited to have you on the podcast today. Can you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I am a veteran business coach and a marketing mentor. I do training and coaching and facilitation and speaking on the topic of business growth, saying something worth listening to, and values-based for-purpose business.
Oh, amazing. Fantastic. Well, welcome to Ready, Set, Paid Ads. What I want to ask today, and I'll be asking everybody this question, is Brooke, do you ads?
I do. I've got 2 ads currently running.
Yeah.
One is a lead magnet, and the other is a low-cost $11 digital product.
Amazing. Tell me
Yeah.
about your journey with ads. You've obviously been in business for a really long time. Probably like myself, have seen many waves of what digital is as well.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about your journey with ads. What's it been like for you as a business owner?
I started my business in 2008, and originally I was a digital marketing agency, and I had a virtual team. I had fabulous branding person that worked with me virtually for about 3 or 4 years. I had a SEO person, web designers.
Wow.
And yeah, and it was fun until I had 2 babies in quick succession. And then the wheels kind of fell off a bit because it was clear that the old way of doing things wasn't going to stack up against, chaos all the time.
Yeah.
So I actually started running training courses around Australia. And originally it was a way to run away from my babies. And I booked a flight to Melbourne and off I went. I had a brilliant time. I loved it. It was at a kind of a pivotal point in digital marketing history.
Yeah.
And it's great to geek out with you over this because normal people don't
No,
really get
no.
it. They're like, don't understand. But like at that time, it was about 2011, 2012 when I started teaching. And at that pivotal point in time, there was so much hope and potential and results from social media and digital.
Yeah.
And I remember watching like YouTube videos and I'd have like tears of joy in my eyes. I just couldn't. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but I just swallowed the whole digital nomad lifestyle thing. Hook,
Yeah.
line, and sinker. I was like, sign me up. Like, my passport, I'm a digital nomad. I'm living the dream, like flexibility and blah, blah, blah. Because it was revolutionary. Like now,
Yeah.
2024, everyone works from home more or less. It was a big deal in those days to cart your big chunky laptop to a
You know
I
what
just,
that makes me think of? I can't remember which client used it, but there's this great Shutterstock image of a man in a suit in the beach with the brick lap, like the digital nomad, and he's rolled his pants up and he's sitting with that gigantic laptop, and that is the pinup boy of
yeah,
that.
Yeah, and we were frothing for it. Absolutely. Like it's just so exciting. I remember like being in a cafe with this chunky old Dell laptop or whatever crap I had. And I was, I just couldn't believe my good
Yeah.
fortune to have
Yeah.
landed in this position. So anyway, I started teaching courses. I went all over Australia. I used my email list, which wasn't very large at the time. I think it would have been about, I don't know, let's say 800 people.
Yeah.
I had a Facebook page, which actually got cut through, and I had a course scheduled in Byron Bay when sponsored posts first came out on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we're talking about 2012. My
Yeah.
kids were like 1 and 3 or something like this. And so I thought, oh, I'll give that a red hot go. $5, sure, I'll boost this post.
Yeah.
And I had the pictures of the venue, which was stunning in Byron. And from that $5 spend, I got a direct return of about $550.
Wow.
I know. I
Those
had
were the
people
days.
calling, like those were the days, like somebody actually called on my telephone, the way they used to be used. It was radical stuff. And what part of the success of that post, because it certainly wasn't my amazing marketing, was the fact that some troll, some person jumped on and started arguing with me about what a terrible person I was.
Uh-huh.
And all of these people, of course, it's the best thing in the world. All these people start seeing it and they're responding.
Yeah.
And the person that called me actually called me to apologize on behalf of that person.
Oh,
Said,
wow.
that person's a few sandwiches short of a picnic. She's a bit of a troublemaker. But, I was
Well,
incredibly
she was great
grateful.
for
I'm
your
like,
engagement. She was great for your reach. Go the algorithm.
so yeah, so that was how it first started, really. It was great. Best $5 ever.
Oh, and I think that's, again, like there's not too many people that you can sit down and talk about, the dawn of ads with. And I always think of myself as like the grandmother of digital. My team I could probably be the mother of most of my team. And, I think of, when I first started, Facebook, I could put a picture of a cat up and it would
Yeah,
get like 700 comments.
it
You know,
did.
what a time to be alive. And then when
What a
ads
time.
came out,
Yeah,
I think similar to now, there was that feeling of how dare they? Like, how dare they charge us?
yeah.
How dare they take away this free marketing platform where we're all benefiting and growing our businesses that would have been completely out of reach for small business to get in front of their customer in the way you could back then. How
Mm,
dare they make us pay? But then
mhm,
you were paying $5. And,
mm,
you had those metrics of, 0.02 cents per
mhm,
click, per view, per this, per
mhm,
that. And
mhm,
it, yeah, it opened up, like for the first time ever, I think, actually targeted marketing to know you could pick
mm,
the country, you could pick the age, you could pick the gender.
mm.
When did we have that before? Because
Yeah,
newspapers was, everything, newspaper, magazine, TV, it was all spray and pray.
yeah. And also, like, I don't know if you recall, but at that time, 2011, 2012, we were paying for digital real
Yeah.
estate. We were paying for pixels.
Oh
They
my
weren't even
god,
dynamic.
display ads.
Yeah, like this is old school. This was
Yeah,
literally like, okay, you pay for,
yeah,
a magazine or a newspaper, you pay for print media in like how many millimeters. So you do the same on websites per pixel, and it's a static ad that
right?
sits there. It doesn't move the way Google ads do nowadays.
Yeah.
Like it was really old school. And
Oh god.
we were participating.
And again, I think all those traditional media outlets are like, "Well, we've got a website. Let's just sell
Yeah.
space the way we've sold it in
Yeah.
our, in our print, in our digital." And again, like the stats of those, they performed so poorly. The click-through rates were so low and they were charging like it was still
Yeah.
print. They were
Yeah.
charging $10,000 for that, leaderboard, or 20, 30, $40,000. And you're right. I think the context of Facebook ads launching against that backdrop.
Yeah. 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 Funny. Too
So what's
funny.
the best ad you've ever run? Or does the $5 for 550 really trump?
The best ad I've ever run. God, I don't know if I can answer that easily. I think there's definitely, I'm a huge fan of remarketing. I almost always have a remarketing campaign running through Google
Yeah.
and sometimes through Meta. I find the return on that is awesome. And I do quite a lot of marketing, organic marketing. I create, I've been publishing articles on the internet regularly since 2010. So,
Wow.
yeah, so I've got a shit ton of content and I'm, always driving people to it. So the remarketing can just, be the icing on the cake, because I've had people who have purchased multi-thousand-dollar courses and programs from me.
Yeah.
Like, your ad I
Yeah.
keep seeing you, you're following me around, and I took it as a sign. I'm thinking, yes, it's a sign that my
Definitely a sign.
remarketing's working.
Definitely a sign.
But like that's it, right? Like the other day, I almost purchased a program, and I was keen to purchase a program. Somebody I knew, somebody I'd been following online for ages. I own her book. I'd looked at it. I'd emailed the support team. I'd checked the time zone and the call times, but they didn't follow up, and I didn't see another piece of marketing. So I'm busy. I've got stuff going on, Of course, it's dropped out of my head, and I've missed the first live call, and then I've gone, oh, well,
Yeah, I'm
next.
not going to join now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's so true as well. I think I was looking at a program the other day and I didn't have a lot of time and I thought, I'm just gonna open up the Instagram and scroll for a bit and then I'll let the retargeting catch me up later. I'll grab it next time I retarget it. I'll watch the videos then.
oh, that's so funny.
When that retargeting first came in, like, I
Yeah.
remember, like, my parents being so freaked out about, like, "Oh, we looked at a lawnmower, and then all we get now is, oh, like, all these ads for lawnmowers pop up all the time," and, it's like they know that we're looking for it, and you think, "Yeah, it's like they know."
Yeah, and I think it's great, because we need to be reminded, like, we're in this avalanche of information, and information doesn't facilitate decision making, and it's so easy to lose information on the internet. Like, my mother had called me up and say, Brooke, I saw a post on Facebook, and how do I find it again? I'm like, good luck to you, lady.
It's gone.
So yeah, exactly. So most people, I think, are like me, which is normal slobs.
Yeah,
And we're not type A personalities. We don't organize and optimize everything to the nth
yeah,
degree. We need reminding, we need following up.
yeah,
We're overloaded with information. We struggle to carve out space and time to make decisions. I have to deliberately, I went into my backyard, because it's such a glorious day here in
yeah,
Sydney today, with my notepad to make decisions on something,
yeah,
because I'm like, if I sit at the internet all day long, which I do,
yeah,
I'm not making decisions. It's 25,000
yeah.
pieces of information coming to me. So
Oh,
yeah.
that's so true, and I think we forget that no matter how amazing your ad is,
Mm,
there's few times that I'm going to see something once and be ready.
totally.
Unless it's pure, something so unique or so alive
Mm,
or
mm,
so impulse, you know,
mm,
there's few times where that one ad is gonna go, I've never seen it before. I've
yeah,
seen it, I'm putting it in the cart and I'm checking out,
totally. Yeah,
You're right,
100%.
not how we work.
It's not,
It's not
no.
the process because we have so many competing priorities as well.
So much going on. And, I talk about those instances, in my marketing, of when somebody finds me on Google, as they do, and they click around and they buy, a program that's worth several $1,000s. I talk about those instances because it's rare, because most people don't purchase like that. Most people think about it, take their time, look at it, forget about it, click away. Maybe if you're lucky, they sign up to your newsletter list.
Yeah,
But like, it's a process, and it takes time for
yeah,
most buyers. So
yeah.
I think, I think ads can be great as that kind of tap on the shoulder. Hey, I'm still here, still here, still here.
No, absolutely. What about ad disasters? Have you had any? Have you heard any great
Oh,
stories?
how long have we got? I've done, countless ad disasters over many, many years.
Yeah,
Most of the disasters have had to do with not having enough time to plan and to, set it up properly, give it enough runway,
Yeah.
have thought through the funnel, have thought through the buyer's journey and the process. I think time is a luxury in marketing, and people who are organized, which I am not, have an advantage.
Yeah.
Because you're going to save yourself a lot of inefficiency, a lot of rework, and a lot of money.
Yeah.
If you're organized and you plan in advance, and you give yourself enough of a runway. Whereas that desperation marketing where you're like, shit, I need to fill this,
Yeah.
because I'm selling courses, programs, group work is most
Yeah.
of my work. So there's almost always a live, start date, in which case I gotta fill this or do my best, die
Yeah.
trying. So it's the emergency marketing that is probably, ended up in the worst kind of disasters.
Yeah. And I think that's although theoretically there's not as much to lose when that happens organically, I do
Mm,
think that's a huge problem on organic. That
yeah.
pressure to
Mhm.
post, that pressure, and when we get busy and we forget, then
Mm,
we panic and we put anything up and we
mm,
don't kind of think about the whole journey that we're trying to take people on as well. And
mm.
certainly the same with ads.
Yeah.
Again, I was recording a podcast earlier today on, reasons why your ads probably aren't working. And, that planning phase is so critical.
Yeah.
We can't just
100%.
skip to the end. We can't just, oh, I like this creative, I'll go put the ad up. It's all the steps that come before it as well.
Yeah, there's so many parts to it. And I do some training in pay per click,
Mm,
and I do, coaching with clients who are spending money on ads, and they're like, what does this mean? Is it working? Is it not working? Like, what are some benchmark metrics I should be looking for? And I think a lot of the time people are too premature,
yeah.
and they haven't really thought things through. They don't know what their profit margin is. They don't know what their lifetime
Yeah.
client value is. They haven't really put a lot of thought into, okay, well, what happens next? What's the warm up? What's the impetus I'm giving people? Why this? Why me? Why now? Like,
Yeah.
how can I make this really urgent for people rather than just some more elevator music at the internet to scroll past? And I think, like, the thing with ads, I've been doing ads on and off since 2012, so a
Well,
lot of years now. But I think the majority of business owners are far too premature with
mm,
it. And
yeah.
I think there's a sense that don't really know what I'm doing with marketing, not feeling confident. I need leads, I
Mm,
need inquiries. If I pay for ads, that means I'm doing something about it.
yeah. Yeah.
And that's,
And it's like the Band-Aid as well, because
yeah.
you might be able to pay for ads and get those leads
Mm,
firing if you're lucky, if you're really lucky.
mm, mm.
But if you're spending money getting those leads firing, but you haven't done all the other stuff,
Yeah.
maybe you could have got some of those leads without spending, but then you're going to get into a self-perpetuating sort of truth that I need to spend to get quality leads. But the fact
Mm,
is, you didn't do the SEO, you didn't do the content, you
mm.
didn't do, lead magnets and resources and all the other things that could have got you leads. You
Yeah.
went to the shortcut, which is working,
Yeah.
but is it sustainable? And as those, cost per lead increases, all those
Yeah.
things, the foundations aren't there, how much better could it all be working for you? And then that
100%.
reliance on paid ads as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, like, call me a Pollyanna. I do think that, no matter how less than optimum my marketing or ads might be, that if people are exposed to me in some way, then, generally speaking, everything sells everything. Generally speaking, they're feeling good vibes towards me, or at least they recognize my face,
Yeah.
or maybe, my name. So, it's all kind of counting towards something.
Yeah.
And I definitely know that, I've had clients that have gone through multiple launches. My group program, my flagship group program, is 9 years old this year.
Wow.
And I know people have gone through multiple launches for years, and they've watched the price go up, and eventually they've jumped in at some point. But they've had to go through that whole process, sometimes reading the very same emails over and
Yes.
over again before they finally go, okay, now is the time.
Yeah, that's a really interesting insight as well. And again, if what you're selling is not impulse driven, or like I
Yeah.
always say to people, you're not bread and milk. They don't need you
Yeah.
every day.
No.
How do you build that relationship? And what I'm really going to dive into in this podcast is also just the concept of like your digital ecosystem
Yeah.
and that it all works together. The web, the organic, the email, the
Mm.
strategy, the tracking, and the ads. When your ads fail, it's not necessarily just your ads' fault.
No, not by a long shot. And even this kind of stuff, like people don't consider that. They're not aware of that. They're
Mm,
spending money on ads. It's not resulting in,
yeah,
new sales and new inquiries. And then they blame the ad. And it's
that's
like, well, that's only half of it. You've got a landing page, you've got site speed, you've got whether it looks any good on a mobile device, you've got credibility, authority, you've
oh,
got the
totally.
word on the street. You
Yeah,
might have everything looking picture perfect, but somebody goes and asks around
yeah,
town and you've got a
yeah,
shockingly shit
yeah,
reputation of
yeah,
like avoid this business at all costs.
yeah,
So, there's a bunch of other factors that go
yeah,
into it, let alone the offer, the headlines, the
yeah.
copy, the imagery. Does the imagery relate to the ad? Like all these things, I think a lot of people underestimate the complexity of it.
Yeah, totally. And again, think that I'm spending the money, why aren't I getting the results? But
Mm.
it's not necessarily that isolated activity. It's the
Not
whole synchronicity of everything that you're doing that is
100%.
yeah, either amplifying your results or holding your
Yeah.
results back.
Yeah, I think it's like, it's a great amplifying technique, but if
Mm,
you don't know whether or not the actual marketing is good and you've got the target market, the ideal client, what they like, what messaging resonates. If you don't have all that dialed in, you're not amplifying much. You're just spending money. So you really want to test it. My view is you test it organically. You
yeah,
make sure that you're in the same way that a comedian's jokes are getting funnier the more they deliver them.
yeah,
Your marketing needs to be as sharp as possible. When you know that that resonates with your organic
yeah.
audience, then you add the ads on top, and it's like adding fuel to a fire.
And you add the ads on top and you test again, because
Mm.
I think ads in itself has to have that mindset of continual learning.
Mm.
I sort of say to clients, I can't just look at your business and know the winning formula. There's
Yeah,
no winning formula that we roll out again and again. It's
yeah,
about your winning formula, and we have
yeah,
to find it. We have to work with the platforms. We have to let the platform learn. We have to interpret what the platform's doing and
yeah.
find your winning formula for your business.
Yeah,
That could take a week, that could take 6 months.
I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah, and you have to continually
Yeah,
testing, and when you think you have success,
yeah.
you need to test them more because there could be lower cost, higher
Mm.
click through, better conversion, and
Mm.
it
Mm.
I think that's the somewhat enjoyable thing about ads if you like problem solving. It's never done. It's never
Yeah,
done.
it's never done. Yeah, and people hate that.
Yeah.
People hate that really hard. Oh, I really like what you said there, Marianne, and especially about like there's no winning formula. There's just your special
Yeah.
way of doing things. And I think that's true of so much in marketing and business
Yeah.
is there is no special secret. When I ran one of my very first courses in Sydney, at the end of the, 7-hour course, somebody put up their hand in the front row and said, oh, is there one special magical technique that brings in the money? And I'm like, have you been paying attention? So like I think anything can work. Anything can work at any price point, any business model, any marketing message, any target market, any ad, any marketing, anything can work if you work it and if it makes sense for you, the business owner. If there is an alignment and a congruency,
Yeah.
because to fake it, to be inauthentic, to pretend, that to be somebody that you're not, to copy your competitors because
Yeah.
it looks, groovy or attractive or whatever, you're doing yourself a massive disservice.
Oh,
It's so much easier to just play to your strengths, play to your communication strengths, play to your actual opinions, and make sure all of this is in alignment and congruent,
yeah.
and follow your curiosity, follow your desires, rather than going off to do some digital online guru 3-day course who says, this is the model, this is the system, it's my way or the highway, just, do what I say.
And the
It
shiny,
doesn't work.
no, looking at that shiny thing and going, well, so and so took their business from Y to X in
Yeah.
3 months. So if I just follow those steps, I'll
Yeah.
do the same.
Totally. And I get the clients who come to me having done those courses and they're like, I don't understand why this guru's system isn't working for me. I'm doing what they told me. I'm paying for ads. I'm getting them in a funnel. I'm getting them on a free webinar or some of them on a free webinar. I'm trying to do this system and it's not working for me. Like, why isn't it working? It must be me. And it's like, it's not you, it's that you've just bought a off the shelf, one size fits all dress and clearly it doesn't fit.
No, and it
It
can't.
makes sense.
It
No.
can't, it can't because
Yeah.
of, the complexities of each industry, the
Yeah.
complexity of each individual business. And then, as you said, the authenticity of who you are and how you need to leverage that. There is no formula. There is
Mm.
no other business as uniquely positioned as you to deliver that.
No, no. And I've watched, being a dinosaur, I've watched certain online business owners
Oh, yeah.
and I've seen their business evolve. And I love it when, they do the rebrand and it's like, finally, that makes sense. Because I was watching you before thinking it's like you're wearing a top that's too tight in all the wrong places and it just looks wrong. And you finally got to the point where you're like, okay, this is who I am. This is what our brand does. And it's like, yes.
Yeah, and I think that takes time. I think
Yeah.
especially with women, I
Mm,
feel like men to some degree are better at owning who they are from the outset, whereas I feel like we start trying to fit within, who's around us and what's there, and then as the time
totally.
goes on, hopefully do that work and then go,
Yeah,
hang on a second, I'm not like all the others, and that's okay, and there's power in being the version that I am.
totally. Totally. Yeah, for
Oh, I
sure.
love that. Like so good to pick your brain. As I said, somebody that's you call yourself a dinosaur, I call myself a grandmother. We've been in it for a long time. I started in 2010, so it's a
Mm.
little bit after you, but you see so many people that are experts that have been in it for 2 to 3 years, and I think, oh, you haven't weathered what we've weathered.
And look, especially when they started in 2020 or after, like that was
Okay.
such a little bubble,
Mhm.
strange and unusualness.
Yeah.
Yeah. And lots of businesses did
Yeah.
unbelievably well,
Yeah.
while others closed their doors forever. Some did outrageously well because they were perfectly placed on, this huge wave of momentum that came
Yeah.
along.
Yeah.
But, what's happening now is you've got this retraction.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually quite an awesome thing. I think anytime you've got an inflection point, you've got a lot of change going on, which I think isn't right now, is an opportunity for businesses who are braver and bolder and
Yeah.
who are not going to kind of freeze like a deer in headlights,
Yeah.
like so many did. March 2020, there were so many business owners that just
I
they
don't know
didn't,
what to do.
yeah,
Yeah.
they don't know what to
Talking up.
do, which is fine because none of us knew what to do.
No.
But they froze and they stopped. And because they stopped and they waited, they lost the wave that came.
Yeah.
They lost that. So I think right now, and I think this happens anytime there's an economic downturn,
Yeah.
anytime there's political turbulence or any other kind of turbulence, is that there are massive gains to be made if you lean in to the change
Yeah.
and if you are bold. Because if you retract and you stop spending money on ads and you stop doing marketing and you lower your prices in an attempt, to be accessible to the economic downturn, you're just digging your own grave. And
100%.
yeah,
And when
and
you stop, when you cut that budget because you need to cut something,
mm,
when it all comes back and you go to turn it back on, dial it back up,
yeah,
those that maintain just minimally
mm,
throughout, they are now top of mind. And you've got to work 4 times as hard to get back to top of mind.
100%.
I was listening to someone the other day talk about podcasts, and
Mm,
one person sort of said, do you listen to my podcast? And they said, I used to listen to it a lot. But then, I started listening to another podcast and something else, and all of a sudden it slipped out of my
yeah,
realm. And it's like that with marketing and how we advertise. You will see that account all the time, and you'll get those ads and you engage and you see more. Then
Mm.
something else comes along and you engage a bit more than that, and that person drops away. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, as much as we'd love to think all our, potential clients are obsessed with us, they're not. So they do forget about us, and
Yeah.
that contracting to survive,
Yeah.
so much harder to come back from.
100%, 100%. And look, we're not doing this because we like to take the easy route. I think, you do tend to be a bit of a daredevil. You do tend to be a little bit, more risk,
Yeah.
comfortable with risk,
Yeah.
more kind of energetic, sparkly kind of people tend to
Yeah.
start businesses,
Yeah.
those with like an independent kind of spirit. And it is a radical thing to do if you think about it. It's become a lot more normal in the last 5 to 6 years, but
Yeah.
it's still a pretty radical thing to do,
Yeah.
really. I attempt to explain this to my mother sometimes when she goes, "Why are you stressed?" I'm like, "Do you have any idea? Do you have any inkling of my day, of my life?"
My mum
Um,
likes to say to me with great disdain, "Well, you wanted to be a career woman." And I don't even think of myself as a career woman. I think of that back in my corporate days, but I don't, but then I just think, from her perspective, it's sort of like, why are you doing this to yourself?
yeah,
Doing
yeah.
this to yourself. Why
Yeah,
wouldn't you just let somebody take care of you? And then
yeah, it's because the highs are very high and the lows are a bit shit.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But no, you do have to have a certain sort of sixth sense of humor to be a business owner, I think, and to
Yeah.
know.
And I think that kind of that resilience that comes with
Yeah,
it, and we're talking about ads, we're talking about digital, that ability to flourish in change and uncertainty is
yeah.
really, really important, because there's too many people. And in fact, I had a boyfriend back in the day. He was a one night stand that went on for a year and a half, but that's by the by. His father had a small business
Mm,
in regional Victoria, and he told me this story about his dad, and then the state premier built a freeway and it bypassed the town. It killed dad's
oh,
business. And
yeah.
the way he talked about this story, like it had just happened yesterday, and the emotion in his voice, I thought, dude, you're dead to me. Like, get real. Like, are you
Pain or
serious?
die.
Like,
Yeah,
are you blaming the premier for
yeah.
like, get over it? Things happen like that all the time. March 2020, I lost $20,000 job here, $10,000 job there. Like, people were falling like flies. A lot of my work at the time was face to face,
Yeah.
and it's gone.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? Like, you're going to stay home and go, "Oh, the bloody COVID," or are you going to do something about it? I think
Yeah.
that's absolutely critical. And it's only going to be more important the faster the rates of change occur.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
think with AI, like, there's,
Yeah.
yesterday it kind of exploded. Sorry, last year it exploded out of nowhere. And then this year, we've got this evolution of like tools. There's the
Yeah.
tool for this and there's a tool for that, and everybody's building their own tools. But it's going to flood the market. It is flooding the market
Yeah.
with so much content
Yeah.
that we have to stay ahead of this.
Yeah.
Like, we have to go, okay, well, what's next? How do I position? Where do I best position myself and my business, my skills and my strengths, to make the most out of this, rather than, oh, somebody built a freeway and
Oh,
now,
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. Or my business is done for because AI is going to replace everything I do. It's like, well, how can you pivot? How can you change? How
yeah,
can you leverage out of that and actually,
totally.
what are the gains, not just the losses? But I
Yeah.
think, right, I think you have to have that mindset to always be evolving and enjoy, like I said before, you love problem solving, right? Like enjoy the challenge of solving the problem and being prepared that when you solve that one, there'll be another one just round the corner.
100%. No rest for the wicked.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been such a great chat on ads, on business, on marketing. I've really, really enjoyed your time. Thank you, Brooke.
Thanks so much for having me.
Where should people find out more about you and connect with you?
My main website is hustleandheart.com.au. But you can find me on all the usual places as Brook McCarthy. There's no E on Brook. If you remember that, I'll love you forever. So I'm on Instagram. That's probably my favorite. I'm on Threads. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook as Brook McCarthy. So if you look me up, say g'day. I do actually use social media to be social. I do actually like chatting with strangers. I am that weirdo that reads.
Love it. Well, thank you so much. And I hope to talk to you again soon.
Thanks for having me.
That's a wrap on another episode of Ready, Set, Paid Ads. If you're looking for done-for-you services, training to upskill you in ads management, or free and paid resources to help you plan and execute better ads, head to wiseupmarketing.com.au. If you've loved this episode, be sure to subscribe for future episodes. And if you know someone that would love this podcast too, go on and share it.